Okay, thank you, and good afternoon, and thank you for coming to my session, which is about studying art and design and preparation to study art and design. So how to apply, what we look for in a portfolio, and then also at the beginning a little bit about why students should study art and design, and perhaps career pathways that may be of interest to people. I'll give some examples from our own graduates of careers they've gone into. So I'm from the University of Northampton, and I'm going to be using examples from our own university, but I'm not going to stand up here for the next half an hour and talk about one university. I'm talking generally about all universities in the UK. So this is typically what we'd look for in terms of a presentation, not about one particular university, although I'll use examples, but to give you a flavour of all art and design courses in the UK and what's in store with you if you do decide to study art and design in the UK. So to give you an idea, first of all, this is our Faculty of Arts, Science and Technology, where our art and design courses lie. And these are the areas that we study that come into art and design: fine art, illustration, fashion, photography, graphics, interior design, architecture, performing arts, music production, media and journalism. So you can see, as well as the traditional fine art, drawing and painting, we also do graphic communication, interior design, media, photography, journalism, lots of different areas. As you can see, we have close links to the industry. Our fashion students always attend Graduate Fashion Week in London and showcase their work at Graduate Fashion Week. We have professional accreditation across almost all of our courses, and there's the opportunity to take internships and field trips throughout the course. So why would you study art and design? Well, the main reason why you should study art and design is because you enjoy the course. It's because you have an interest and a passion for art. And I think that's true of all courses, that the main secret of success when it comes to studying, and particularly at a British university where we specialise very deeply in one subject, students have to have an interest and a passion in that course to succeed. And that's certainly the case with art and design. You have to be interested in the course, interested in creating your own work, but also interested in other people's work as well, because a lot of the course is about supporting your colleagues and your peers on that course. But what does this course involve? And some of these points are relevant to all university study in the UK, but many of them are just for art and design. We encourage our students who already have an element of creativity, which is why they're interested in the course, to take that creativity and develop it by questioning the world around them and thinking about their own creative process and the creative process of others to be the best artist and graduate that they can be. We ask students to apply their skills across a broad range of contexts. We give our students the opportunity to work in industry, to make contacts, to network, and to meet people who are already successful in the field they want to go into, to help them develop their own work and, of course, develop their careers. And most course structures will blend theoretical and practical learning. So studying art and design is perfect for students who don't want to spend their university years behind a table, behind a desk studying, who want to actually be out in a studio, behind a sewing machine, creating, taking photographs, working and producing work, and making a process behind that work. So it's not just essay writing and exams. It's very different to studying mathematics, history, business. It's much more creative. That might sound obvious, but we are looking for students who want to have that mode of study, so it's important to mention. And many courses have professional accreditation. So like I said, you're able to then develop further to become a professional in those areas. So here are some top 10 skills which are deemed most important by employers based on a number of surveys, And these are the skills which we aim our graduates from our Faculty of Art to have, and through our teaching, we teach these areas. Time management is important, organising is important. Being able to organise your academic work is what we call a transferable skill, a skill that you transfer into your professional life, your workplace. Teamwork is important. You work individually but also in groups when you study art and design. You're expected to produce group work and to work together on a project. And of course, those of us in business know that working as part of a team is a crucial part of success in the real world, if you like. Here are some careers that our fashion graduates have gone into. What's interesting about these job titles is they probably didn't exist 10 years ago, or at least some of them probably didn't. Social media coordinator, digital content creator. You know, when I was 18 and leaving school, those courses, they weren't available to me because those things didn't exist. So it's a fast-moving world. Technology is changing all the time, and our aim in university is to get students up to date with the latest technology and be able to apply that in their work. And we've seen the benefits of that through our fashion graduates who are going into careers that perhaps older people such as myself weren't aware of, you know, that they go into various things. But of course there are the traditional ones as well: catwalk producers, fashion promotion, visual merchandiser, window dressing, those sort of things. Those careers still exist, and those are things that our fashion graduates have gone into. Media production, our graduates have secured jobs in various areas, and again, these are often also quite new areas, but they're also things that you may recognise as well. It's probably worth highlighting the final point: many of our students are self-employed. They set up their own businesses, their own production companies, and we give them the skills to do that. And photography, typical photography careers, practicing artists, clinical photographers, architectural photographers. So of course we train students to become photographers, but traditional photography such as weddings, family photography that's not the only career you can go into. You can work in a hospital, you can work on a building site with architects, in magazines. So there's lots of different areas, and like I said, we keep our options open when it comes to preparing our graduates for the outside world. There are all sorts of careers that we can prepare them for. The application process. I'm giving my own university as an example here, but it's useful to highlight it so you know what sort of things that we expect. And this application process is for all courses, but I'm going to talk more specifically about the requirements for art and design in a minute. So you can apply, as an international student, you can apply directly to the university that you'd like to study with, and there's usually no charge to apply directly to the university. And you would provide the following documents: your qualification certificates and transcripts, your portfolio for art and design courses, a personal statement, a letter of recommendation from one of your teachers or tutors, your English language test, and a copy of your passport for your identification. And those are the English language requirements there. Now, many of our applicants from Ukraine apply with the assistance of our representative Бизнес-Линк, who's organised the fair today. So if you want assistance with your application, you can visit their office and they will be able to help you with the application, and we encourage you to do so. A little bit of information about the personal statement. The personal statement is a sheet of paper which we ask you to write. It's usually around 300, 400 words about why you're applying to the UK and why you want to study the particular course that you want to do. So it's a letter of motivation to introduce yourself and to tell us why you've chosen this particular course. It's a very important letter because, again, it's your way of standing out from other students and communicating to us why you want to study this particular course. So I'm going to focus a little bit more on portfolio skills for art and design courses, and this is an example of a portfolio. So you can see here that this is a portfolio for someone applying to do fashion. It's a little example. I'll talk in a little bit more detail shortly about that. So what is a portfolio and why do we need it? As I mentioned before, art and design is a very practical course, and we're looking for students' output. And so we're looking for talent, but we're also looking for potential. We're also looking for the willingness for you to create work and to put together work. And so the way we decide whether or not you're suited to our course is to look at what you've done already. So it's a collection of work, your own work that you've put together to give examples of the work and how you create it. And it's an opportunity for you to express yourself and to show us what you're capable of and where your talents lie. The portfolio needs to represent your character, your personality, but also perhaps your influences and your inspirations. So we're looking for a bit of variety, but we're also looking for you to perhaps show us who your favourite artists or photographers or filmmakers are in terms of inspiration. They don't need to be too formal. It can be very tempting for students to put examples of their best work. And I do encourage you to do that, but that shouldn't be the only thing that you do. Yes, you should include the work that you're most proud of, but also some unfinished pieces, some work that perhaps didn't go the way you wanted it to, because we're looking at how you've created things as well as what the finished process is. So as I mentioned, depending on the course you're applying to, we usually ask for 10 to 30 examples of your work, some finished, but also some unfinished, or perhaps to take fashion as an example, you might want to have a photograph of a finished garment, but also some other parts of the garment that aren't finished, perhaps. We also need pieces that, like I said, show the inspirations and the process behind why you've created the work that you've created. It's a good idea to organise your portfolio into sections. So if you're showing in the case of fine art, a drawing that you've completed, then perhaps give some other examples of the drawings as they're going. Select a range of work to demonstrate the variety of your experience, abilities and interests. So don't just show one style of writing, one style of work. Show lots of different ones. If you're applying for photography, don't just show us photography of people or of landscapes, but a little bit of everything to show that you're open to new ideas and different areas, so you're not just going down one road when it comes to your inspiration and your creative process. But the final point is perhaps the most important. Don't include something for no reason. Don't include something because you feel you should, because it's your teacher's favourite piece of work, but it's not necessarily yours. Make sure that you can always explain why you've chosen a particular piece of work and why this work is important to you. So here are some examples of what students have included in the past. And again, this depends on the course as well. So sketchbooks, mood boards, assignments, blogs. Obviously with a blog, you can have a link if you're applying electronically, or you can submit examples. Background research, so if you've put together, for example, a photo shoot, then perhaps show the research behind the photo shoot and with notes. Digital work is important to demonstrate use of certain digital applications. That's particularly important if you're applying for graphic design or graphic communication, something where you're applying digitally. So it's important to mention here, as an international student, you'll probably be making an electronic application and you'll probably be sending your portfolio to us electronically. We're not asking you to make a huge parcel of your work and go take it to the post office and send it to the post. You can if you want to, but we don't expect you to. We're asking you to send things electronically. So that would be a digital portfolio that can be viewed on an electronic device. Sending something via WeTransfer or a form like that, for example, is quite common. If you have a sketchbook, then take screenshots of the pictures of the pages that you want to include, the pages that you want us to see. So create your portfolio digitally and send it that way. It sounds obvious, but obviously ensure the images are of a high resolution so that we can see them properly. And email probably won't be big enough, because if your images are high resolution, then you might find that the email won't, that there'll be too many bytes, megabytes, so you'll need to send it through a WeTransfer or somebody like that. So what are the universities looking for in a portfolio? I mentioned at the beginning that a passion for the subject is really important to us, and that is the case again. A passion for your subject is important. You will get the opportunity to tell us that, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but it's important to show us how passionate you are about your subject through your works of art and through the creative process. So if you've got a finished piece, show us the unfinished pieces that led to it, the bits that didn't go quite so well, to show us that passion, that enthusiasm, that willingness to keep trying. Demonstration of your knowledge in the subject and interest in relevant works, current trends, influential designers, artists. So if you're applying for illustration, you should be prepared to tell us who your favourite artists and illustrators are, or your favourite photographers if you're applying for photography. Obviously for fashion, your favourite designers. Yes, did you have a question?
What are they about? Maybe it's some cultural difference between us, but for me it looks like I wake up at night and start, can't sleep, but I'm inspired by flower on my window. What is it about, and how to keep the balance between avoiding unnecessary things and to add something important?
You need to always make sure that the work you include in the portfolio, you can talk about it in a useful way and say something through it. So it's expressing something about you. So if it's something that inspired you, you need to talk about how and why it inspired you and how you acted on that inspiration. So with the work, you'd need to show us a finished piece of work and be able to talk about it. So if you're just showing something because somebody else, it's a really good example. A lot of students do this. They include a piece of work because somebody else likes it, and they're not that bothered about it, but they include it because somebody else has encouraged them to do that. Okay, but you have to remember that it's only you that's talking about your portfolio. So you need to make sure that it's work that you like, that you're confident to talk about, that you're happy to show people, and that you're able to explain to somebody what this work was about and how you created it and why you created it. Is that a bit clearer? Well, it depends on the person, I think. It depends on the individual. And so it's always important to remember that you're passionate about this particular subject, and the person you're showing the portfolio to is also passionate about that subject. Okay, so if you want to apply to do photography, the people who is looking at your portfolio have perhaps been teaching photography for 20 years, they've been photographers themselves, so they're very interested in this area. So that's something that you have to remember. You're talking to like-minded people, but you have to show that you have to show them that you're as passionate about the subject as they are, really. Okay. Okay, so what are we looking for? We're looking for a passion for the subject, as I mentioned, demonstration of knowledge of recent areas of study in your area, favourite photographers, favourite artists, favourite interior designers, favourite fashion designers, current trends, influences that are happening in the world at the moment. So make sure you're up to date with what's happening in your subject area in the world at the moment. For example, if you're applying to do fashion, what are the current trends, and perhaps do you like them, do you not like them, do you work towards them, against them? So all of those sort of things are important. Demonstration of your creative process, how you work and how you improve your work, and knowledge and understanding of the broader subject area, and written skills are useful in some areas. So after you've submitted your portfolio, we then will ask students to interview, and this interview is to ask you about yourself and why you've applied for the course, as any university or job interview would be. But we would also be looking perhaps at your potential to succeed in this particular subject area. So the interview is very much based around the portfolio, and it's an opportunity for us to look more closely at the portfolio and to ask you questions about it. And this is why, when I mentioned earlier, you should always include work that you're able to talk about, that you're prepared to talk about. As an international student, we wouldn't expect you to travel to the UK for your interview unless you want to. If you want to and you're able to, you're of course very welcome to do so. But if it's not possible, then you would be interviewed through Skype or a video conferencing facility similar to Skype, and that's very common and nothing to worry about. There's no disadvantage of not being physically interviewed. We consider all applications exactly the same, whether you're interviewed face-to-face or interviewed via Skype. We would ask you about yourself, and we'd also ask you about your portfolio, which I'll talk about in a moment. Remember that the interview is, as we say, a two-way street. We're finding out about you, but it's also your opportunity to find out about us. So it's an opportunity to ask questions and find out more about the course and the university and whether this is the right place for you. So some interview tips. Research the course content, be ready to ask questions about the course. Like I said, find out about the university and prepare a few questions about the course. Be prepared to explain your portfolio, as we've discussed, what, why and how, what have you produced, why you produced it and how you've produced it. There's some really good ways of thinking about how you can talk about the work you've done. Talk about the process behind your finished work, again, what, why and how. If you mentioned a favourite designer, a favourite photographer, artist, somebody who's influenced your work, be ready to talk about that in more detail. Be ready to talk about why they're your influence and why you like them. And talk about current trends in your chosen subject. If you already know what you want to do after graduation, and this course is a stepping stone to get there, think about what you might like to do after graduation and be prepared to talk about that. And it's always useful to prepare your questions in advance. So often, and I've experienced this myself, you say, thank you, that's the end of the interview. Do you have any questions? And that's the moment where all the questions that you had fly out of your head and you can't remember any of them. So write them down, so have the questions prepared already. That's a really useful tip. Just to give you a little bit of information about ourselves, we are the University of Northampton. We were established in 2005. We're located an hour north of London and an hour south of Birmingham in a town called Northampton, which has 200,000 people. We have 14,000 students, including students from over 100 countries, and we have a new campus, brand new campus, which is due to open in September this year. As well as art and design, we also offer business, law, health, psychology, education and humanities, and science and engineering. We have some very good benefits to study with us. We offer a package of extra things within the tuition fee, including various subscriptions, library facilities, laptop and sports societies. And as I mentioned, we have a brand new campus, and this is a picture of our campus. I haven't got any photographs because it's still being built, but this is an artist's image of our brand new campus in action. And this is actually one of the art and design hubs. So you can see those are art and design students studying their group work. I hope that was useful. But does anybody have any further questions before we finish?
Во-первых, хочу сказать спасибо за ваше выступление, очень познавательная презентация. У меня вот два вопроса. Ведет ли университет статистику по трудоустройству после окончания вашего вуза своих выпускников?
Do you have any statistics about how your students then get the work after graduation?
Yeah.
And thank you, of course.
Oh, thank you. Over 95% of our students are in further study or work within 6 months of graduating. So we have a very high proportion of our students who are working or studying further after they've graduated. And that's mainly because we have our industry links, our internships, and we very strongly encourage our students to think about their future career and think about what they're going to do after they graduate right from the very first day. We're encouraging them to prepare for graduation and beyond.
Большое спасибо за ответ. Какой вот из школ предварительного образования, так называемые курсы про education, вы могли бы порекомендовать для своего университета по категории arts, design?
Thank you for your answer. And what school or courses you can advise for preparing to get into your university?
There are several foundation courses that students can take in art and design, which I can talk about individually afterwards. And there's also the option of various preparation courses as well. So I can talk about that afterwards. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. If you did want to ask me any individual questions, you're very welcome to do so. I'll be here for the next few minutes. Or you can come and visit myself and my interpreter on the stand. We're at stand number 5 upstairs. But otherwise, thank you very much, and good luck with your future studies and your search, and have a lovely afternoon in the sunshine. Thank you.